This is where Detroit comes to talk. 760 WJR. Here's WJR's Kevin Dietz.
Good morning, Detroit. Democrats are expressing deep unhappiness with the Supreme Court over the final decisions of the 2020-2021 term, with some calling on President Biden to pack the court with additional liberal judges. Mondaire Jones, a Democrat from New York, on Twitter said the Supreme Court once again gutted the Voting Rights Act. If we don't expand the court soon, we will no longer have a democracy to protect. What are we waiting for? And Senator Ed Markey, a Democrat from Massachusetts, in a tweet said, we must expand the Supreme Court. Your calls are welcome and appreciated. 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. But first, let's check in with Dave Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science Professor at Oakland University. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Kevin. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you as well. Let's set the stage with the decisions that were made by the Supreme Court that have Democrats and liberals upset. Let's start with the Arizona decision.
Oh, sure, the one on
election laws.
Election law, right? It held up. The court upheld a statute from Arizona that banned what's so-called ballot harvesting, and left in effect, I believe, a voter ID law.
Right, yeah, and the left is saying that this is a restriction of voter rights. Conservatives call it security measures. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically sided on the argument that conservatives were making, and then in California, there was another law requiring nonprofits to disclose their largest donors to the state government for law enforcement purposes, and the court struck down the law, citing interference with free speech, and that upset the left as well.
Right, and the one in California really it has an added level of politicization, I would say, because the practice that was struck down was begun under now Vice President Kamala Harris's time as Attorney General. So it really sort of takes a shot at her practices as AG in California. And as I said, right, that just adds to the politicization of these court decisions, which really it's not that surprising that these are the ones that were at the end of the term. The Supreme Court generally waits until the end of the term when they all leave town for the summer to unveil their most divisive, maybe most controversial opinions.
Yeah, because the Supreme Court had been making quite a few decisions over the past 6 weeks or so, and we didn't hear too much complaining from the left, not too much complaining from the right either, but there were some surprises, I guess, in how some of the votes went and some of the decisions were made. But in this last week, with these last two in particular, now we're getting a lot of calls for packing the court again. Does that surprise you that we're hearing that rally cry now?
It doesn't, because as you know, as your listeners know, the conservative-leaning justices now on the court outnumber the left-leaning judges 6-3. So it's no surprise that these controversial ones would fall toward what the right likes rather than the left, what the conservatives likes rather than the liberals. But I think it's important for everybody to realize that these are small numbers of cases that are decided in this ideological manner. If we take a look at all of the court cases that were decided this term, 43% of them were 9-0, right, where everybody agreed, unanimous. And if we take the 8-1 and 7-2 decisions, we're up to 70% of the court's decisions are non-controversial. It's that last 30%, right, about 24 cases or so, where we get into that 5-4, 6-3 ideological division.
Yeah, and just to remind people, Clarence Thomas has been there the longest. He was appointed by George Bush, Stephen Breyer in by Bill Clinton. Then you have John Roberts and Samuel Alito, who George Bush appointed, and then Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan from Barack Obama. And then Donald Trump appointed 3, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, giving you that 6-3 lean to the right, if you will. Not that they always vote that way, like you said, 70% non-controversial. But President Biden did speak out after these 2 most recent decisions by the Supreme Court, and he said that the court has now done severe damage to 2 of the most important provisions of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And obviously everybody wants to watch what the president has to say, because originally when he was running for office, he said he didn't believe in packing the courts, and then he talked about, well, maybe we need a commission to study it. And here we hear him say that the court has now done severe damage. Do you think President Biden would move in that direction, or do you think we're just going to hear from the more liberal, more progressive members of the Democratic Party on this?
Well, his comments may simply be rhetoric that placates the left wing of his party, because at this point there's no indication that the U.S. Senate has the votes it would need to change the number of justices on the Supreme Court, and they would need those votes in 2 ways. One, and first, and arguably more importantly, they would need to change the filibuster rule in the Senate that would let Republicans block any effort like this with just 41 votes actually. And folks like Joe Manchin from West Virginia, Kristen Sinema from Arizona, and quietly other senators on the Democratic side don't appear to be willing to do that. But even if they did, they would need then to pass a law that would change the number of members of the court. And again, folks like Manchin and Sinema do not appear to be terribly interested in doing that. So, Biden can, the president can make those statements, but until there's a shift in the politics on Capitol Hill, it's unlikely.
Are there concerns by Democrats that long term, this could come back and bite you? You just don't know once you start down that road what's going to happen and where it's going to lead? In terms of packing the court and adding justices?
Yes. Absolutely. I think that, and Republican senators have said as much, right? They said, well, look, if you add 4 now, we're just going to add 4 more next time, right? And I think that's where the public starts to say, okay, come on, let's be adults here. The last thing the country needs is a continual addition of justices every 4 years to where we end up with a 47-person Supreme Court, right? That doesn't bode well for the nation.
All right, David Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science, Professor at Oakland University. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
All right, the number to join the conversation is 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. You're listening to WJR, where Detroit comes